All right, so we're going to jump right into it, right? Like, let's just go crazy and jump right in. So right at the top of my list, I don't know if it was necessarily top of your list, Clay, but right at the top of my list was we just celebrated Easter, of course, and you know, I get it. For a lot of people, it's just you know, bunny rabbit hopping around and hiding eggs and coloring eggs and doing all that stuff. And it honestly, it always was that to me. Like my whole life, I was not, I wasn't religious. I certainly wasn't a Christian. And yes, my Christians watching, I know it's not a religion. Don't come for me in the comments. I know. Um, but yeah, so you know, all those years, it didn't mean a whole heck of a lot to me. And this is the first year, honestly, that I understood from that Christian perspective what the big deal was. And and the reason why I say that is because you guys all probably already know where I'm going with this. I would be surprised if you didn't know where I was going. But on Easter, President Biden made a proclamation. Now, there's more layers to this, but let me just start it off with the surface of it, the initial onslaught of this. So, we, being all of us, that the world, get a proclamation from President Biden, and I'm pretty sure I have it here, like the screenshot of it here, designating Easter Sunday, March 31st, as the Trans Visibility Day. And so he puts up this proclamation, and yes, quite frankly, I and Christians all across the country got really, really offended and angry and mad, and rightfully so, by the way. This is like a high holy day here. This is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We are Christians named for Jesus Christ. This was a big deal. And to take this day and completely erase it, essentially, you know, the meaning of it, the depth of it, and to focus on this group of people. And so I want to read the statement now. He says, on Transgender Day of Visibility, we celebrate the joy, strength, and absolute courage of some of the bravest people I know. He says this this was on Twitter. He says this, today we show millions of transgender and non-binary Americans that we see them, they belong, and they should be treated with dignity and respect. Now, I certainly agree with that last part. Everybody should be treated with dignity and respect. So that's a no-brainer. That's the given. I would expect no less at any point in time. To not acknowledge the fact that this is a very, very holy day, and to only put this massive focus on this extremely small group of people it's outrageous. I mean, it really is. Now, I will go back and say, and I will say that I did not know this because I don't think any of us had any real reason to know. Apparently, this Trans Visibility Day has existed for like 15 years, apparently. I had never heard of it before. I had no idea. It's always been March 31st. So, you know, so that's the counter argument. You know, that's what the left is saying. Oh, calm down. It's always been that day. Now suddenly it's a big deal to you. Well, it is a big deal to us because you're celebrating it. The White House is celebrating it. And by the way, they also banned the any religious symbols or language or anything from this Easter Day event that they have. And I did read, and I can't confirm it, I don't know if it's true. Supposedly this has been the case for many years, that's the case. And if that's true, I think that's absurd. Easter, how do you eliminate the whole thing that it's actually about? You know, it's we're just living in the craziest world possible right now.
So you've got one of three things happened. Like you said, it's always on March 31st. Okay. Mm-hmm. So either the White House acknowledged the overlap and said, we don't care.
Right.
They acknowledged the overlap and chose to ignore it.
Right.
or they were so inept that they didn't even realize the overlap. So they're either inept, don't care, or decided that Easter can coexist with these two, and they don't need to deconflict. Now, I know what you're saying about the, taking I think it was the egg decorating, they took all the religious,
I think that's what it was.
It's not allowed. And, the Easter celebration at the White House has been convoluted and slowly getting watered down year after year to be more inclusive. And, and it was always an Easter egg hunt, and then it was egg rolling, and then it was all these things. You get the kids out on the White House lawn, and, it's all a dog and pony show. Sure. But when you start putting restrictions on it, that now you have a different problem. Because like you said, this is, this is Christmas without the Christ, right? This is the now they've turned it into something that it's not. And and I know that, Santa Claus has nothing to do with the birth of Christ, and the Easter Bunny has nothing to do with resurrection. Got it, right? That's the commercialization of the holiday. And it kind of is what it is. And all of this is, I agree with you. We're like, we're in this is a crazy world we're living in, that all of this is going on and everybody says, it's no big deal. Or they say, we don't care. We can, piss off the Christians. That's fine. We'll pander to the very small group, like you said. But the thing that bothers me the most is that when the president was questioned about this, he goes, I didn't do that. Right. He goes, I didn't do that. A reporter asked him point blank.
Directly. I didn't do that.
I didn't do that. Now the White House is saying his answer, because the reporter questioned him along the lines of what we're talking about, which is, did you know that it's right on top of Easter, that you put this proclamation for Trans Visibility Day right on top of Easter? And he said, I didn't do that. And the White House is saying, well, what he meant was it's always on the 31st. Therefore, he didn't put it there. They just happen to coincide and blah, 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 blah.
Yes. I love how his cleanup crew comes in every time and
the bigger question is, and the conclusion that most of us are coming to is, he has no idea what he's signing. And the reality is, he's not signing anything, right? They're putting things in front of him, and maybe not even putting things in front of him. Maybe the White House chief of staff said, yeah, just go ahead and make it. It's the 31st every year. It's pro forma. We don't care about Easter, whatever. And so the Speaker of the House was the one who was very upset about it. And he said, well, his signature's on it. Well, let me clue everybody in. Unless you watch the president sign something, literally physically see him do it, they don't sign anything. There's a device that has been around for decades called an auto pen. When I was an aide for a general, we had one. You put a marker in it and it mimics his signature, right? There's a code you have to put in. It's very controlled. You line up the piece of paper underneath, you hit the button, and it does a signature, and it's written in a real pen with a real marker. Right? Real, it's ink. It's not a digital replication. It's not printed by a printer.
That's wild. I had no idea. Yeah.
So unless you see the president sign any of this stuff, he never signed it.
Right.
Guaranteed he never signed it. So when he says, I didn't do that, he really didn't do that, because he has no idea.
Didn't. Yeah. He has no clue. And let's be real. Anything that is put out on Twitter from his account, from his official account, it's not him. Nope. And anybody who thinks that it is actually him is I don't know. I got a bridge to sell you, or some swampland, or whatever. That's the old things. That's so outdated to even say that, but I don't care. I said it.
I could be very coarse and say I have a bridge in Maryland to sell you, but I won't say that. That was probably out of line. But yeah, I mean, everybody got mad because President Trump did do his own tweets, the mean tweets thing, and now you've got a president who doesn't. That guy couldn't operate a smartphone if he tried. To get onto Twitter, to tweet something, to put on X or whatever it's called. He couldn't do that. That's not him. That's his press people doing that stuff.
Which, it's another one of those moments where you really should be taking that pause and saying, who is running the country? Because it ain't that guy. It ain't that guy. He doesn't know what the hell is going on at any given moment. No clue.
Nope.
And I tell you, and I haven't done it yet, and the moment's already passed, so I'm not going to make it. It's just too late. But I was thinking back, when this all happened, I was thinking back on, I don't know if it was last Easter or the one before, but you remember the whole Easter bunny thing, getting up in front of, he was starting to, I think it looked like he was starting to talk about something he wasn't supposed to be talking about. And the Easter bunny jumped out in front of him and did this whole thing and like redirected him, which we all know that was, that was a plant in there, not some guy hired to play the Easter bunny. That was one of their people in there.
That was a Secret Service agent is what that was.
100%, no question about it. And he got redirected and, like shuttled around. And, and I was thinking, I was trying to come up with a video to make for it, like that this was his revenge, against Easter to to do this. But the moment passed, it's just, the whole thing. It's just yet another thing. It's another slap in the face. It's another insult. It's another display of choosing, and I know for some people this is going to be too harsh of a word, but I'm sorry, I do believe it. Choosing evil over what's good and right, deliberately, consistently, and blatantly. And this is the course. This is the path that we're on with this administration. And it's only going to get worse.